Station Apex floated in the dark space between star systems. The massive structure held thousands of beings from across the galaxy. Today was special. Today the Carthax were coming. Corporal Tae-sung stood in the security briefing room with his hands behind his back. Captain Yuna stood at the front, her face serious. Around the table sat security officers from a dozen different species. Most of them looked nervous. The Carthax delegation arrives in 2 hours, Yuna said. They're bringing their ambassador and his family. That includes 2 cubs. A low murmur went through the room. One of the insectoid officers clicked his mandibles together. Cubs, they're bringing younglings here? Yes, Yuna said firmly. And we will treat them with respect. They're guests on this station just like everyone else. Tae-sung had read about the Carthax. They looked like big cats from Earth, but they stood on 2 legs and were smart as any human. Their fur was deep red with black stripes. Their eyes were golden and could see in the dark. They had claws that could tear through metal. Most importantly, they were predators. Apex predators from a death world. The galaxy feared them. What about protective measures? Asked Rolk, the Ursine security chief from Sector 7. His species looked like bears, big and strong, but even he seemed worried. My team will be wearing full combat armor. I suggest all teams do the same. Your team can wear what you want, Yuna said. Human security will be in standard uniforms. Rolk's small eyes widened. That's foolish. The Carthax are dangerous. The Carthax are people, Yuna corrected him. Dangerous people are still people. We treat them with dignity. Tae-sung smiled a little. This was why he liked working for Yuna. She didn't see threats everywhere. She saw individuals. After the briefing, Tae-sung walked to the cafeteria with Private Daeho, his patrol partner. Daeho was young, maybe 20 standard years old. He'd only been on the station for 3 months. Are you scared? Daeho asked quietly. Of what? The Carthax. Everyone says they're killers. Tae-sung got his food from the dispenser and sat down. I grew up on a farming colony. We had animals that could kill you easy. Big ones with horns and teeth. You know what I learned? Daeho shook his head. Most animals don't want to hurt you. They just want to live their lives. You respect them, give them space, and usually everything's fine. Tae-sung took a bite of his food. I figure people are the same way. Even predator people. Daeho didn't look convinced. 2 hours later, Tae-sung stood in the docking bay. The Carthax ship was beautiful, all smooth curves and dark metal. The airlock opened with a hiss. Ambassador Vrex stepped out first. He was huge, maybe 7 feet tall. His red fur gleamed under the station lights. His golden eyes swept the bay, checking everything. Behind him came 3 more Carthax adults. Then came the cubs. Tae-sung had expected them to be small. They weren't. Each cub was already 4 feet tall, probably weighed 100 pounds. Their fur was lighter than the adults, more orange than red. They stayed close to their father, looking around with big, curious eyes. Most of the security teams took a step back. Tae-sung stayed where he was. He watched the cubs whisper to each other in their own language. They seemed excited, not dangerous. The next few hours passed smoothly. The Carthax were taken to their diplomatic quarters in the high-security habitat ring. Tae-sung went back to his regular duties. The station was busy with delegates from dozens of species, all here for the summit. The council wanted to discuss new trade routes and defense agreements. Tae-sung was doing paperwork in the security office when the door burst open. Ambassador Vrex filled the doorway. His fur stood on end. His claws were out. His eyes were wild. My cubs, he growled. His voice was deep and rough. They're gone. Yuna stood up fast. Gone? What do you mean, gone? I checked their room. They're not there. They're not in our quarters. They're missing. Vrex's tail lashed behind him. Find them now. Yuna hit the emergency comm. All security teams, this is Captain Yuna. We have missing persons. 2 Carthax cubs, juvenile, possibly in the habitat sections. Begin immediate search protocols. The station's alert system kicked in. Lights changed from white to yellow. Lockdown procedures started. Blast doors closed in sections. People were told to stay in their quarters. Within 10 minutes, the security office was full. Rolk arrived with his team, all in heavy armor. Thon, the Insectoid Council Director, came next. His wings buzzed with agitation. This is a disaster, Thon said. If those cubs hurt someone, the summit is over. The Carthax will never be accepted into the community. My cubs would not hurt anyone, Vrex snarled. They're children. Children with claws and teeth, Rolk said. He turned to Yuna. We need to treat this as a dangerous creature situation. Heavy stun weapons, containment protocols. They're not creatures, Yuna said coldly. They're kids. Lost kids. Taesung looked at the station map on the wall. The habitat ring was huge, with hundreds of corridors and rooms. The cubs had been missing for 3 hours now. They could be anywhere, Captain, he said quietly. Permission to begin search in lower habitat sections? Yuna nodded. Take Daeho. Start in the maintenance areas. They might have wandered down there, Rolk snorted. The lower sections? They're probably in the ventilation system or the garden domes, somewhere with prey. Frex turned on Rolk with a roar. The Ursine stumbled backward. My cubs are not hunting. They are lost and scared. Everyone calm down, Yuna ordered. We have multiple teams. We'll search everywhere. Rolk, take your team to the garden domes. Thon, coordinate with station sensors. Frex, you stay here with me. We'll monitor everything from command. Frex looked like he wanted to argue. Then he nodded once, short and sharp. Taesung left the office with Daeho right behind him. They took the lift down to the lower habitat levels. These sections were older, not as nice. Maintenance crews worked here? Storage rooms. Service corridors. Not many people came down here. Do you really think they're down here? Daeho asked. His hand kept moving to his stunner. Maybe. If I was a kid in a strange place, I might go exploring. Find somewhere quiet. Taesung checked his scanner. It showed the station layout but no life signs. The cubs didn't have transponders. They walked through corridor after corridor. Taesung looked at everything carefully. A scratched wall panel. A door left slightly open. Small signs that something had passed by. There, he said, pointing at the floor. Small marks in the dust. Not quite footprints, but something had disturbed the surface recently. Daeho leaned closer. Could be anything. Could be. Taesung followed the marks. They led to a maintenance corridor that went deeper into the station's guts. His comm crackled. All teams report status, Yuna's voice said. Around the station, teams called in. No signs of the cubs. The garden dome team had found nothing. The ventilation team was still searching. Sensors showed nothing. Taesung pressed his comm. Lower habitat team. Following possible tracks. Continuing search. They kept walking. The corridor got darker. Emergency lights gave everything a red glow. Taesung could hear the station's systems humming around them. Pipes and cables ran along the walls. Then he heard something else. Very faint. A soft sound, almost like breathing. He stopped. Held up his hand. Daeho froze behind him. The sound came from above. Taesung looked up slowly. There was a service shaft in the ceiling, the panel slightly open. He moved closer, very carefully. Listened. Breathing. Definitely breathing. And something else. A tiny whimper. Taesung's heart beat faster. Not from fear. From understanding the cubs weren't hunting. They weren't exploring, they were hiding. Taesung pointed up at the service shaft. Daeho looked and went pale. His hand moved to his stunner again. Don't, Taesung whispered. Just stay quiet. But they're right there. We should call it in. We will. But not yet. Taesung stepped directly under the shaft. He could hear the breathing more clearly now. Soft and fast. Scared breathing. Hey there, he said quietly. It's okay. The breathing stopped. Silence. We're not going to hurt you. Your father is looking for you. He's worried. A small growl came from the shaft. Warning, not threat. Taesung recognized the difference. He'd heard it before from animals on his farm. I know, Taesung said gently. New place. Lots of strangers. Everything's loud and bright and smells weird. I'd want to hide too. Daeho stared at him like he was crazy. Maybe he was. But Taesung could feel it in his gut. These weren't dangerous predators. They were scared kids. Captain Yuna wants us to report, Daeho whispered urgently. Report what? That we think we heard something? That'll bring every armed team on the station running down here. Taesung shook his head. That'll just scare them more. Maybe make them run again. Across the station, other teams were tearing through sections. Taesung could hear them on the comm. Rolk's team was in the garden domes using thermal scanners and motion detectors. Another team was checking the commercial district. A third team was going through the school sections. All of them were treating this like a hunt. Lower habitat team report status. Yuna's voice came through the comm. Taesung pressed the button. Still searching, Captain. Following some tracks in the maintenance corridors. Nothing confirmed yet. Copy that. Continue search. All teams be advised we're expanding the search to include cargo sections. Taesung looked up at the shaft again. He could see movement now, just barely. A shadow against shadows. I need to get closer, he said to Daeho. That's insane. What if they attack? They won't. How do you know? Taesung thought about it. How did he know? He just did. Call it instinct. Call it experience. Call it whatever you wanted. He knew these cubs weren't going to attack him. He found a maintenance ladder against the wall and climbed slowly. Each step was careful, deliberate. He kept talking the whole time, voice low and calm. My name is Taesung. I work security here. It's actually a pretty boring job most days. Just walking around making sure everyone's safe. You know what the hardest part is? The paperwork. So much paperwork. A small sound from the shaft, almost like a hiccup. Were the cubs crying? Taesung reached the shaft opening. He stopped there, not going in. Didn't want to trap them. I grew up on a farm. We had these big animals called cattle. They got scared easy. When they got scared, they'd hide. Usually in the worst possible places. I spent a lot of time coaxing scared animals out of tight spots. He could see them now. Two small shapes huddled together in the corner of the shaft. Their eyes glowed in the dark, reflecting the dim light. Golden green. They watched him without moving. You're Vix and Vex, right? Your father talks about you all the time. Says you're smart and brave. Says you're going to be great ambassadors someday. The cubs pressed closer together. One of them made a sound. Not a growl. More like a question. It's cold down here, isn't it? Taesung said. Station keeps the temperature low. Good for most species, but probably not for you. Your homeworld is warmer, I bet. He was right. He could see them shivering. Their fur was fluffed up, trying to trap heat. They weren't hiding because they were being predators. They were hiding because they were cold and scared and didn't know where else to go. Taesung, Daeho called from below. Command is asking for updates. What should I tell them? Tell them we're still searching. Give me 5 more minutes. Daeho didn't argue. His comm clicked on. Lower habitat team. Still conducting detailed search. Request 5 more minutes before next check-in. There was a pause. Then Yuna's voice. Copy that. 5 minutes. Then I want a full report. Taesung focused back on the cubs. Here's the thing, he said softly. Everyone's looking for you. Your father is scared. The whole station is locked down. But if you come out now, everything will be okay. I promise. One of the cubs made a sound. Words in their language. Taesung didn't understand them, but he understood the tone. Fear. Confusion. I know. Too many people. Too much noise. Too many smells. Taesung sat down on the ladder, getting comfortable. When I first came to the station, I felt the same way. Everything was strange. I didn't know anyone. I stayed in my quarters for 3 days, just eating ration bars and watching videos. The cubs tilted their heads, listening. Then my captain, Yuna, she came and knocked on my door. Said I couldn't hide forever. Said the best way to make a strange place feel like home was to walk around and meet people. She was right. Took time, but she was right. He held out his hand slowly, palm up, non-threatening. I'm not going to grab you. Not going to force you. But if you want to come out, I'll take you to your father. And I'll make sure all those scary people in armor stay away. Deal? The cubs looked at each other. Some kind of silent communication. Then they looked back at him. One of them, the slightly bigger one, crawled forward a little, stopped, sniffed the air, crawled forward again. Taesung stayed absolutely still. He barely breathed. The cub reached his hand, sniffed it carefully, then very gently touched it with one paw. The claws were retracted, just a soft touch. Hey there, Taesung whispered. It's okay. I'm safe, promise, the cub chirped, a tiny sound from such a potentially dangerous creature. Then it climbed onto his arm. Taesung felt the weight. 100 pounds at least. The cub was warm under all that fur. It clung to him like a child might cling to a parent. The second cub watched for a moment, then followed its sibling. Within seconds, Taesung had 2 Carthax cubs crawling on him. They were cold, shivering. They pressed against him, seeking his body heat. Humans ran warm. He'd never thought about it before. But right now, he was probably the warmest thing these cubs had found on the whole station. Daeho, he called down. I found them. What? Daeho's face appeared at the bottom of the ladder. His eyes went huge. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Are you okay? Should I stun them? Do not stun them, Taesung said firmly. They're fine. They're just cold. They're on you. They're predators and they're on you. They're kids. Taesung started climbing down carefully. The cubs held on tight. Their claws pricked through his uniform but didn't break skin. They were being careful. Call the captain. Tell her we have the cubs and they're safe. Deho fumbled with his comm. Captain Yuna, this is Lower Habitat Team. We found them. Excellent. What's your location? I'll send a containment team. No containment team, Taesung called out. Just you, Captain. And Ambassador Vrex, nobody else. Too many people will scare them again. There was a long pause. Then, understood, stay where you are. We're coming to you. Taesung reached the floor. The cubs climbed onto his shoulders, one on each side. They were heavy, their tails wrapped around his chest for balance. They made soft rumbling sounds, almost like purring. They're purring, Deho whispered. Do you know how terrifying that sound is to most species? Good thing I'm human, then. Taesung walked slowly back toward the main corridors. The cubs shifted with each step, staying balanced. Their heads rested against his neck. He could feel their warm breath. His comm came alive with chatter. Teams reporting that the cubs had been found. Rolk demanding details. Thun wanting confirmation. Everyone talking at once, Yuna's voice cut through it all. All teams, stand down. I repeat, stand down. Human security has the situation under control. Return to normal duties, Captain. Rolk's voice was sharp. My team should respond. This is a dangerous... Stand down, Chief Rolk, that's an order. Taesung smiled. He kept walking. The cubs kept purring. Deho followed behind, looking like he might faint. They were halfway to the main level when Taesung heard footsteps. Fast footsteps, running. The footsteps got louder. Heavy boots on metal floors. Lots of them. Taesung stopped walking. The cubs tensed on his shoulders. Their purring stopped. He could feel their muscles tighten. It's okay, he murmured. Just more security. Nothing to worry about, but he was worried. He'd asked for just Yuna and Vrex. This sounded like a whole team. Rolk came around the corner first. He wore full combat armor, matte, black, and heavy. Behind him were 6 more armored figures. They all had weapons ready. Not drawn, but hands on them. Ready to grab and fire, Corporal, Rolk said. His voice echoed inside his helmet. Stand still. Don't move. I'm fine, Chief. You have 2 hostile aliens on your person. You're not fine. Rolk took a step forward. His hand moved to his weapon, the cubs hissed. The sound was sharp and angry. They shifted on Taesung's shoulders, getting ready to jump or run. Stop, Taesung said firmly. Chief Rolk, stop moving. You're scaring them. I'm scaring them? Rolk's laugh was harsh. They're apex predators, Corporal. They're not scared of anything. They're children, Taesung said again. And you're a big armored figure pointing weapons at them. Yes, they're scared, one of the cubs growled, low and rumbling. Its claws dug into Taesung's shoulder, through his uniform into his skin. It hurt, but he didn't flinch. Easy, he said softly. You're okay? I've got you. The cub's claws relaxed a little. Sir, we should tranquilize them, one of Rolk's team members said. For everyone's safety. No, Taesung said. The word came out harder than he intended. Nobody is shooting anything. Captain Yuna gave you orders to stand down. Captain Yuna isn't here. I'm the ranking officer in this corridor. Rolk's stance shifted. He was getting ready to make a move. Corporal Taesung, I'm ordering you to duck. We'll handle the rest, the cubs hissed again. They could feel the tension. Animals always could. They knew when a fight was coming. If you fire, they'll run. Or they'll attack. Either way, someone gets hurt. Taesung met Rolk's eyes through the helmet visor. Just wait. The captain is coming. Ambassador Vrex is coming. Let them handle their own kids, and we don't have time for... Make time. They stared at each other. Taesung didn't blink. He'd learned a long time ago that sometimes you had to stand your ground, even against superior officers, especially when lives were at stake. Deho stood off to the side, looking between Taesung and Rolk. His hand hovered near his comm, probably trying to decide whether to call Yuna or stay quiet. The moment stretched. Tense and fragile, one wrong move and everything would explode. Then another voice called out. Chief Rolk, lower your weapons, everyone turned. Captain Yuna walked down the corridor. She wasn't running. She walked calm and steady, like she had all the time in the world. Behind her came Ambassador Vrex. The Carthax ambassador moved like liquid muscle. Smooth and dangerous. His golden eyes were fixed on the cubs. His ears were forward. His tail swished once, twice. Stand down, Yuna repeated. All of you. Put your weapons away. Captain, the situation is under control. Una stopped next to Rolk. She was a foot shorter than him in his armor, but somehow she seemed bigger. I gave you a direct order. You ignored it. We'll discuss that later. Right now, move. Rolk hesitated. Then he stepped back. His team followed. They moved to the sides of the corridor, making space. Vrex walked forward slowly. He made a sound in his throat, soft and rhythmic. The cubs perked up immediately. They chirped back. A conversation in their own language. Vex, Vrex said. His voice was gentle now, nothing like the angry growl from before. Come here, little ones. The cubs looked at Taesung, then at their father, then back at Taesung. They didn't move. Go on, Taesung said quietly. He's been looking for you. He was scared too. The cubs chirped again, made questioning sounds. Vrex spoke in his language. The words were soft and musical. Whatever he said, it worked. The cubs climbed down from Taesung's shoulders. They dropped to the floor and ran to their father on all fours. Vrex crouched down. He wrapped his arms around both cubs, pulling them close. He checked them over with his paws, gentle and thorough. Looking for injuries. The cubs pressed against him, making little crying sounds now that they were safe. Taesung rolled his shoulders. They ached from the weight. His uniform had small tears where the cubs' claws had gripped. A few spots of blood showed through, but nothing serious. Vrex finished checking his cubs. He stood slowly. The cubs stayed pressed against his legs. Then he looked at Taesung. You found them, he said. Yes, Ambassador. They climbed on you. Yes, sir. Vrex tilted his head. His ears twitched. Do you understand what that means? Taesung shook his head. I just knew they were cold. They needed warmth. Humans run a little hot, so. In Carthax culture, Vrex said slowly, cubs choose their guardians. When a cub climbs onto someone's shoulders and rests there, it means trust. Complete trust. It's an honor, he paused. No other species has ever achieved this. The cubs are too frightened of others. The smell, the look, everything is wrong. But I'm just human, Taesung said. Exactly. Vrex made a sound. It might have been a laugh. Just human. You didn't see my children as threats. You saw them as children, the cubs chirped. One of them pulled away from Vrex and walked back to Taesung. It rubbed against his leg like a cat might. Left its scent on him. Vix likes you, Vrex said. She says you smell good. Warm and safe. Thank you? Taesung wasn't sure how to respond to that. The cub, Vix, chirped again. She stood on her back legs and raised her front paws. Asking to be picked up, Taesung looked at Vrex. The ambassador nodded. So Taesung bent down and lifted the cub. She was heavy, but he managed. She immediately climbed back onto his shoulder and started purring again. Rolk made a sound. This is highly irregular. This is unprecedented, Vrex corrected. He looked at Una. Captain, I would like to request something. What do you need, Ambassador? During our stay on this station, I want Corporal Taesung assigned as our liaison. The cubs trust him. That's rare and valuable. Una smiled. Granted. Taesung, you're on diplomatic duty until further notice. Taesung blinked. But I'm just regular security. I don't know anything about diplomacy. You know how to be kind, Vrex said. You know how to see others as people, not categories. That's the most important skill any diplomat can have. The second cub, Vex, made a sad sound. He was still by his father, watching his sister on Taesung's shoulder. Looking jealous, come here, Vex, Taesung said. He crouched down. The cub bounded over and climbed onto his other shoulder. Both cubs purred now, loud and rumbling. Rolk shook his head. Unbelievable. Quite believable, actually, said a new voice. Council Director Thon walked down the corridor. His insect wings buzzed softly. I've been watching on the security cameras. Very interesting. Director, Una said. The situation is resolved. The cubs are safe. I can see that. Thon's compound eyes looked at Taesung and the cubs. What I find interesting is the ease of this resolution. Most species would have needed tranquilizers, containment fields, possibly sedation. The human simply talked to them. The human has a name, Taesung said. My apologies. Corporal Taesung simply talked to them. And they responded. Ambassador Vrex, is this normal for your species? Vrex's tail swished. Cubs respond to kindness and warmth. This human provided both. It's simple. Simple for humans, perhaps. Thon moved closer, though he kept his distance from the cubs. I wonder what else humans might achieve with species we consider dangerous. They're not dangerous, Taesung said. He was getting tired of people saying that. They're just different. A profound observation, Thon said. He didn't sound sarcastic. He sounded like he meant it. Corporal, you may have done more for interspecies relations today than 1,000 diplomatic meetings. Taesung didn't know what to say to that. He just stood there with 2 alien cubs on his shoulders, feeling their warmth and their trust. Vix nuzzled his neck. Made a happy sound. We should get them back to quarters, Vrex said. They need to eat. They need rest. Of course, Yuna gestured down the corridor. This way. We'll take the secure lifts. The group started walking. Taesung in the middle with the cubs, Vrex beside him. Yuna leading. Daeho following behind, still looking shocked. Roke and his team bringing up the rear, weapons finally put away. Thon buzzed alongside. Tell me, Corporal, how did you know the cubs weren't dangerous? I didn't, Taesung admitted. But I figured the risk was worth taking. They were scared and alone. Someone needed to help them. Even though they could have hurt you. Even though. The cubs purred louder. They knew they were going home. They knew they were safe. And somehow Taesung had become part of their safety. He didn't understand it fully. But he didn't need to. Sometimes understanding came later. Right now, all that mattered was that 2 lost children had been found. The diplomatic quarters were on the upper level of the habitat ring. Nice rooms with high ceilings and good airflow. Taesung had never been up here before. Regular security didn't usually come this far. The doors opened with a soft hiss. Inside, the rooms were warm. Much warmer than the rest of the station. The walls had soft lighting that looked like sunlight. There were cushions everywhere, big ones covered in thick fabric. A Carthax home. The cubs jumped down from Taesung's shoulders as soon as they were inside. They ran around the room checking everything, making sure it was all still there. Then they ran to a corner where food and water waited. They started eating like they were starving. They wouldn't eat before, Vrex said quietly. Too nervous in the new place, but now they're home, they remember they're hungry. Taesung watched them eat. They made happy sounds between bites. Their tails swished. Young and alive and perfectly normal. Thank you, Vrex said. For finding them. For being kind. Anyone would have done the same. No. Vrex's voice was firm. No, they wouldn't have. You saw how the others responded. Weapons and armor and fear. You responded with understanding. Yuna stood by the door. Ambassador, if you don't need anything else, I should get back to my duties. The summit starts tomorrow. I need to make sure everything else is secure. Of course, Captain. Thank you. Vrex looked at Taesung. You will stay? The cubs should see you. It will help them feel safe. Taesung glanced at Yuna. She nodded. You're on diplomatic duty now. The ambassador wants you here, you stay. So Taesung stayed. Yuna left with Daeho and the others. The door closed. Suddenly it was just Taesung, Vrex, and the 2 cubs. The cubs finished eating and ran back over. They climbed on Taesung again, purring. Vix on his shoulders, Vex in his lap. They weighed so much. But it was a good weight, warm and real. Tell me about your world, Vrex said. He sat on one of the large cushions. Your home world, Earth. It's nice, Taesung said. Green in a lot of places, blue oceans. We have lots of different animals, some big, some small, some dangerous, some not. And you grew up with these animals? On a farm, yeah. Cattle mostly, some other things. We raise them for food and materials. Taesung stroked Vix's fur gently. She leaned into the touch. People think farmers are tough. And we are. But we're also gentle. You have to be. Animals know if you're scared or angry. They respond to your emotions. Vrex made a thoughtful sound. The Carthax are the same. We feel others' emotions. It's how we hunt, how we survive. But it also means we know when someone truly cares. Your cubs knew I cared. Yes, that's why they trusted you. Vrex leaned back. You asked earlier what it means when a cub climbs on someone. Let me explain fully. In our culture, cubs are precious. We have few children. Each one is important to the whole community. When a cub chooses a guardian, That person becomes family, not by blood but by bond. Taesung looked down at Vex in his lap. The cub looked back with those big golden eyes. "I'm honored," he said, "but I don't know anything about raising Carthax cubs. You know kindness. You know patience." "That's enough." Vex paused. "I should tell you something. The real reason we came to this summit. To establish diplomatic relations? That's part of it, but there's more." Vrex's voice dropped. "The Carthax have been alone for a long time, isolated. Other species fear us. They see teeth and claws and assume we're monsters. They don't try to know us." Taesung nodded slowly. He could see how that would happen. The galaxy was big and scary. People feared what they didn't understand. "I came here hoping to change that," Vrex continued, "to show the Council that we're not monsters. We're people. We have families and homes and dreams. We want to be part of the community." He looked at his cubs. "But everywhere we go, people pull away. They wear armor. They carry weapons. They treat us like threats. That must be hard. It's exhausting." Vrex sighed. It was a very human sound. "And then you come along. A human. A species I've never met before. And you treat my children like children. Not threats, not dangers. Just kids. Because that's what they are." "Yes, but you're the first to see it." Vrex met Taesung's eyes. "Do you know what that means for us? For all Carthax?" Taesung shook his head. "It means maybe we're not alone anymore. Maybe there's one species in this galaxy that can look past the fear and see us truly." The cubs chirped. They'd been listening, understanding more than Taesung realized. Vix rubbed her head against his cheek. Vex grabbed his hand with both paws, holding it like a treasure. "I'm just one person," Taesung said. "I can't speak for all humans. But you're an example, and examples matter." Vrex stood. "Tomorrow the summit begins. Many species will be watching. They'll see my cubs with you. They'll see how comfortable they are, how safe they feel. That will raise questions. Good questions or bad questions? Both, probably. Some will wonder what makes humans special. Others will wonder if they've been wrong about us." Vrex walked to the window. Outside, stars glittered in the black. Change is slow, but it has to start somewhere. Maybe it starts here, with you and 2 cubs. Taesung thought about that. He'd just been doing his job, finding lost kids, making sure they were safe. He hadn't thought about politics or diplomacy or changing the galaxy. But maybe that was how real change happened. Not through big dramatic gestures, but through small moments of kindness. The door chimed. Vrex opened it. 3 more Carthax entered. Adults, part of the ambassador's staff. They stopped when they saw Taesung with the cubs. "This is Corporal Taesung," Vrex introduced. "The cub's guardian. Treat him as family." The other Carthax stared. Then one by one they bowed, a slight lowering of their heads. A gesture of respect. Taesung didn't know what to do. He bowed back, careful not to dislodge Vix from his shoulders. The Carthax staff moved around the room, preparing things for the evening. Food, water, checking the environmental controls. They kept glancing at Taesung and the cubs, curious but not hostile. One of them, a female with darker stripes, approached carefully. "May I?" she asked, gesturing to Vex. "He's not mine to give permission for," Taesung said. "Ask him." She blinked in surprise. Then she knelt and spoke to Vex in their language. The cub chirped back. She smiled and gently scratched his ears. Vex purred. "You treat them with respect," she said to Taesung. "You don't assume authority over them. They're people. Small people, but still people." She looked at Vrex. "This one is wise. This one is human," Vrex said. "Apparently that makes a difference." The evening passed quietly. Taesung sat with the cubs while the adults prepared for tomorrow's summit. They talked in their own language mostly, but sometimes in the common tongue for Taesung's benefit. They discussed politics and trade and security concerns. Normal diplomatic stuff. The cubs fell asleep eventually. Vix on his shoulders, her head on top of his. Vex curled in his lap, both of them warm and heavy and trusting. I should go, Taesung whispered. Let them sleep in their own beds. Try to move and see what happens, Vex said with amusement. Taesung tried to shift. Both cubs grumbled and held on tighter, not letting go. Vex laughed. It was a warm sound, nothing like his earlier growl. They've decided you're their sleeping spot. That's another honor, by the way. I'm honored, Taesung said, but I really should report back to Captain Yuna. Vex nodded to one of his staff. She left the room and came back a minute later. I've informed your captain. She says congratulations on your promotion to diplomatic babysitter. Taesung smiled. That sounded like Yuna. So he stayed. He sat there while the cubs slept and the adults worked. Eventually, someone brought him food and water. Eventually, the lights dimmed to night mode. Eventually, the adults went to their own rooms to sleep. Vex paused at his door. Thank you, he said again. For everything. Just doing my job. No. You did much more than that. Vex's eyes glowed in the dim light. Tomorrow, the galaxy will see what you've done. How they react will tell us much about the future. He left. The door closed. Taesung sat in the dark with two sleeping cubs. Their purring was soft and steady. A peaceful sound. Outside the window, the station rotated slowly. Stars moved across the black. Somewhere out there, countless species lived and worked and dreamed. Most of them would never meet a Carthax. Most of them would never get the chance to see past the fear, but Taesung had. And maybe that would matter. Maybe small moments like this added up to something bigger. Or maybe not. Maybe this was just one night. One incident. One tired security officer sitting with two sleeping alien kids. Either way, he thought as Vex snored softly in his ear, it was worth it. Morning came too early. Taesung woke with a stiff neck and sore shoulders. The cubs were still draped over him, warm and heavy. He dozed off in the chair somehow. Not his best sleep ever. Vex stirred first. She yawned, showing rows of sharp teeth. Then she licked his face with a rough tongue. It startled him. Good morning to you too, he muttered. Vex woke up and immediately wanted breakfast. He jumped down and ran to the food area, chirping loudly. Vex followed. Within seconds, both cubs were eating again. Vex emerged from his room. He looked well rested. Good morning, Corporal. I trust you slept well? Not really. The cubs are comfortable sleepers. Unfortunately, that means whoever they sleep on is not. Vex moved to prepare his own breakfast. The summit begins in 2 hours. You should return to your quarters, clean up, get proper rest. What about the cubs? They'll be fine. My staff will watch them. Vex paused. Although if you'd like to return later, they would be happy to see you. Taesung nodded. He stood slowly, his muscles protesting. He said goodbye to the cubs. They chirped at him but were too busy eating to be upset about his leaving. Back in his own quarters, Taesung showered and changed into a fresh uniform. He looked at himself in the mirror. Same face as yesterday, same person, but something felt different, like he'd crossed some invisible line without noticing. His comm buzzed. Yuna's voice. Taesung, report to my office when you're ready. 20 minutes later, he stood in front of her desk. She looked tired too. Probably had been up all night dealing with summit preparations. Sit, she said. We need to talk. He sat. You did good work yesterday, Yuna began. Finding the cubs, keeping them safe. I'm proud of you. Thank you, Captain. But... She leaned forward. You need to understand what you've walked into. The Carthax situation is complicated. A lot of species are uncomfortable with them being here. What happened yesterday, the cubs bonding with you, that's going to raise questions. Ambassador Vex mentioned that. I bet he did. Yuna pulled up a screen. I've been getting messages all morning. Council members, security chiefs, diplomatic staff. Everyone wants to know about the human who befriended the predator cubs. I didn't befriend them. I just helped them. To everyone else, it's the same thing. She showed him the messages. There were dozens. Some curious, some concerned, some almost angry. You've become a symbol, Taesung. Whether you want to be or not. He didn't want to be. He just wanted to do his job. Director Than wants you at the summit opening, Yuna continued. With the cubs. He thinks it will set the right tone. Show that different species can coexist peacefully. That's a lot of pressure. Yes, it is. Yuna's eyes were kind. I can tell him no. I can keep you on regular duty. You don't have to do this. Taesung thought about the cubs, about how scared they'd been in that service shaft, about how they'd climbed onto him seeking warmth and safety, about how they'd slept on him trusting him completely. I'll do it, he said. Yuna smiled. I thought you might. Okay, the summit starts in an hour. I'll have someone escort you to the main hall. The main hall was huge. Taesung had never been inside before. The ceiling was high with windows showing the stars. Rows of seats curved around a central platform. Hundreds of beings from dozens of species filled the space. Taesung felt very small suddenly. Rex waited near the entrance with his staff. The cubs bounced around his feet, excited by all the new people. When they saw Taesung, they ran over immediately. Taesung, Vix chirped. She'd learned his name, or at least a version of it. Both cubs climbed him like a tree, back onto his shoulders. Their favorite spot. Their purring started immediately, loud in the quiet hall. Every being in the room turned to look. Taesung felt hundreds of eyes on him. Compound eyes, multifaceted eyes, eyes on stalks, glowing eyes, all staring at the human with two Carthax cubs on his shoulders. They're watching, he whispered to Vrex. Let them watch, Vrex said calmly. Let them see that my children are children. Not monsters, Director Thon approached. His wings buzzed softly. Corporal Taesung, thank you for coming. And for bringing our young friends. They brought themselves, sir. I'm just their transport. Thon's mandibles clicked. Amusement, maybe. Indeed. Well, shall we begin? The council is eager to start. The ceremony was long. Lots of speeches. Lots of diplomatic language that Taesung didn't fully understand. He stood to the side with Vrex and the cubs, trying to stay out of the way, but people kept looking at them. Kept staring at the cubs purring on a human's shoulders. Finally, it was Vrex's turn to speak. He walked to the central platform. His voice carried across the hall, strong and clear. Council members, delegates, honored guests, I am Ambassador Vrex of the Carthax Sovereignty. I come before you today to request formal recognition and membership in the Galactic Council. Murmurs ran through the crowd, nervous sounds. I know many of you fear my people, Vrex continued. You see our teeth and our claws. You hear stories of death worlds and apex predators. You think we are dangerous, he paused. The hall went silent. You are not wrong. We are dangerous. We are predators. Our world is harsh and unforgiving. We evolved to survive in conditions that would kill most species. Vrex's tail swished. But dangerous does not mean evil. Predator does not mean monster. He gestured to Taesung and the cubs. Yesterday my children went missing. They were frightened in this new place. Cold and alone. They hid where they felt safe. Every species on this station mobilized to find them. Most came with weapons and armor. They treated my children as threats to be contained. More murmurs. Some delegates looked uncomfortable. But one being came with only kindness. Corporal Taesung of Earth. He found my children not as a security threat but as lost younglings. He spoke to them softly. He offered them warmth. He earned their trust. Vrex's voice grew stronger. My cubs chose him as their guardian. A bond sacred in Carthax culture. The first time any non-Carthax has achieved this, the cubs chirped from Taesung's shoulders, as if agreeing with their father. This human did not see monsters. He saw children, and in doing so he showed us something important. Vrex looked around the hall, meeting eyes. Fear is a choice. Understanding is a choice. The Carthax have been isolated because the galaxy chose fear. We hope today you might choose understanding instead. He bowed. A deep, respectful gesture. Then he walked back to Taesung and his cubs. The hall erupted in discussion. Beings talking to each other in dozens of languages. Some looked thoughtful. Some still looked scared. But a few looked like they were reconsidering. Director Thon stood. His voice cut through the noise. The council will consider Ambassador Vrex's request. In the meantime, this summit will continue. We have much to discuss. The formal session ended. Delegates broke into smaller groups. Taesung tried to slip away, but people kept approaching, asking questions about the cubs, about humans, about Earth. A delegate from the Centauri Collective, a being that looked like a floating crystal, drifted close. Your species is new to us, it said. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. Tell me, are all humans like you? I'm nothing special, Taesung said. You befriended apex predators. That seems quite special. I didn't befriend them. I just wasn't afraid. And why weren't you afraid? Taesung thought about it. Because fear doesn't help. When you're scared, you make bad decisions. The cubs were scared too. If I'd met their fear with more fear, nothing good would have happened. Someone had to be calm. The crystal being pulsed with light. Fascinating. Your species has courage. We have common sense, Taesung corrected. There's a difference. More delegates came. More questions. Taesung answered as best he could, though he felt completely out of his depth. He was a security officer, not a diplomat. He didn't know the right words or the proper protocols, but maybe that was okay. Maybe being himself was enough. Captain Yuna appeared eventually. Excuse me, delegates. I need to borrow Corporal Taesung. She led him away from the crowd. The cubs were getting tired, their purring softer. They'd had a big morning. How are you holding up? Yuna asked, confused mostly. I don't understand why everyone cares so much. Because you did something no one else could. You connected with a species everyone fears. Yuna smiled. That's valuable. More valuable than you realize. They walked back to the diplomatic quarters. Vrex followed with his staff. Once inside, the cubs finally climbed down. They ate, drank, and curled up together on a big cushion. Exhausted from all the excitement, Vrex sat heavily. That went better than expected, did it? Taesung asked. No one demanded we leave. No one threatened violence. A few even seemed interested in talking further. Vrex looked at the sleeping cubs. Small progress. But progress. What happens now? Now we wait. The council will debate. Some will support us, some won't. Eventually there will be a vote. Vrex's ears twitched. Whatever happens, you've helped us more than you know. Taesung stayed a while longer. Watched the cubs sleep. Talked quietly with Vrex about Carthax culture and human culture. Shared stories. Built understanding. When he finally left, it was evening. The station lights had dimmed to night mode. He walked through the corridors, thinking about everything that had happened. 2 days ago, he'd been regular security, walking patrols, doing paperwork, living a normal life. Now he was a diplomatic liaison, a guardian to alien cubs, a symbol of something bigger than himself.